His breath scorched my neck as he whispered, "You're shaking, scared, or turned on?" I couldn't answer. My body betrayed me. His touch was a match, and I was gasoline. This wasn't just a crush. This was a sin. And when the rain trapped us alone that night, I learned, some fires don't burn, they ruin you. The metro was a suffocating cage of bodies, the air thick with the scent of sweat and perfume. Meher, a 21-year-old medical student with books clutched tightly to her chest, hated this part of her day. She shifted uncomfortably, her delicate frame pressed against the cold metal pole as the train rattled through the city. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting shadows that danced across the faces of strangers. Then, he stepped in behind her. She felt him before she saw him. The shift in the air, the sudden warmth at her back. Ion, 6 feet 2 inches, his broad shoulders barely contained in a tight black t-shirt, the sleeves straining over sculpted biceps. A tattoo peeked from beneath his collar, dark ink against golden skin. The scent of sandalwood and something dangerously masculine wrapped around her, drowning out everything else. "Hold this." His voice was a rough command, deep enough to vibrate through her. Before she could react, his gym bag was shoved into her hands, his fingers brushing hers. Intentional. She was sure of it. The train lurched, and Meher stumbled back, her body colliding with his. His chest was solid against her back, his breath scorching the shell of her ear as he steadied her. Careful, he murmured, his lips almost touching her skin. "Wouldn't want you falling for me that fast." Meher's breath hitched. His voice was like dark chocolate, smooth, rich, with an edge that made her pulse spike. She could feel his smirk against her hair. "You smell like vanilla," he continued, his nose skimming the curve of her neck. In trouble, Her stomach flipped. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Like she was something to be devoured. Heat flooded her cheeks, but she forced herself to tilt her head, meeting his gaze over her shoulder. Dark, amused eyes locked onto hers. Dangerous eyes. The kind that promised sin and delivered. I don't even know you," she managed, though her voice trembled. His smirk deepened. Fix that. Coffee tomorrow. Or, he leaned in, his breath a hot caress against her ear. Are you scared? The challenge in his tone sent a thrill down her spine. Scared? No. But alive, yes. For the first time in months, her blood sang with something other than exhaustion. The train screeched to a halt. Ion stepped back, but not before his fingers trailed down her arm, leaving fire in their wake. He winked. 8 p.m. Don't keep me waiting. And then he was gone, swallowed by the crowd. Meher stood frozen, her skin still burning where he'd touched her. The gym bag in her hands smelled like him, musky, addictive. She should leave it. Should walk away. But her fingers tightened around the strap. What was one coffee? The cafe was dimly lit. The kind of place where shadows clung to corners and secrets could be whispered without consequence. Meher stood outside, her fingers nervously smoothing down the fabric of her dress. Too short, she thought, but then again, she hadn't chosen it for modesty. What the hell am I doing? Her pulse hammered in her throat as she pushed open the door. The rich aroma of coffee and cinnamon wrapped around her. But it was the sight of him that stole her breath. Ion, lounging in a corner booth like a king on his throne, one arm draped over the back of the seat, his long legs stretched out lazily. A steaming cup of black coffee sat in front of him, untouched. His eyes, dark, predatory, locked onto her the second she stepped inside, tracking her every movement with the focus of a wolf scenting prey. "You came," he said, his voice a low purr of satisfaction. Meher lifted her chin, refusing to let him see how he affected her. "You knew I would." His lips curved, slow and knowing. "I did." She slid into the booth across from him, her knees brushing his under the table. A jolt of electricity shot up her thigh at the contact, but she refused to pull away. Ion watched her amused. Nervous? No. Liar. He reached across the table, his fingers skimming over the back of her hand. His touch was featherlight, but it burned. Your pulse is racing. His thumb pressed against the delicate skin of her wrist, right over her fluttering heartbeat. Asterisk right here, asterisk. Meher swallowed hard. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't it? His fingers trailed higher, tracing the veins along her forearm. I know a lot of things about you, Meher. Her breath hitched. Like what? Like how your pulse jumps when you lie, he murmured, his thumb circling her wrist in slow, torturous strokes. And how you bite your lip when you're nervous. His gaze dropped to her mouth, lingering on the way her teeth worried the soft flesh. Asterisk like right now, asterisk. Meher jerked her hand back, her face flaming. This was a mistake. Ayan moved faster than she expected. His hand shot out, catching her wrist and pulling her back. Asterisk running away already. Asterisk his grip was firm, unyielding. And here I thought you liked playing with fire. The challenge in his voice sent a thrill down her spine. Meher yanked her arm free, but she didn't stand. Didn't leave. Ayan leaned back, his smirk victorious. That's what I thought. The waiter appeared then, breaking the tension. Meher ordered tea, her fingers trembling around the menu. Ayan watched her, his eyes dark with promise. This wasn't just coffee. This was a game. And she was already losing. Asterisk, rain trapped them in his car. Thunder rattled the windows as Ayan turned the heat up. Cold? He asked, his voice rough. Meher nodded. He leaned in too close and draped his jacket over her. His fingers brushed her throat. Liar. You're on fire. Asterisk. The rain came down in torrents, hammering against the windshield like it wanted in. The rhythmic thrum of water against metal filled the silence between them, punctuated only by the occasional rumble of thunder in the distance. Streetlights flickered through the downpour, casting erratic shadows across Ayan's sharp features. The strong line of his jaw, the way his throat moved when he swallowed. Meher's fingers twisted in the fabric of her dress. The air inside the car was thick, charged with something far more dangerous than the storm outside. The scent of his cologne, something dark and woodsy, mixed with the petrichor from the rain, making her head spin. Ayan's hands flexed on the steering wheel, his knuckles whitening. She couldn't stop staring at them. Those long, capable fingers that she'd imagined in places they had no right to be. You're quiet, he said, his voice rough like gravel. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. Meher swallowed hard, her mouth suddenly dry. Just thinking. About how your mouth would feel on mine. About how badly I want your hands on me. About how I shouldn't want any of this, asterisk. She turned to look at him, her pulse roaring in her ears. What do you want from me, Ayan? The car swerved abruptly as he pulled over, tires screeching against the wet pavement. Before she could react, he killed the engine and turned to face her fully, his eyes black with hunger. Everything. The word landed between them like a lit match. Meher's breath caught as he reached for her, his palm cupping her cheek. His skin was scorching against hers, his thumb brushing the corner of her mouth. The storm outside faded to nothing. There was only this moment, only his touch, only the way his gaze dropped to her lips like he wanted to devour her. Tell me to stop, he challenged, his voice barely above a whisper. His breath fanned across her face, warm and tinged with the bitter sweetness of coffee. Meher knew she should, knew this was a line that couldn't be uncrossed. But when his other hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer until she could feel the heat of him through their clothes, all rational thought fled. Her resolve crumbled. I can't. Ayan didn't hesitate. His mouth crashed into hers with a hunger that stole the breath from her lungs. There was nothing gentle about the way he kissed her. It was all teeth and tongue in possession. One hand fisted in her hair, tilting her head back to give him better access, while the other slid down to grip her hip hard enough to bruise. Meher gasped into his mouth, her fingers scrambling for purchase against his chest. She could feel the rapid thud of his heartbeat beneath her palms, the way his muscles tensed when she dug her nails in. Ayan growled low in his throat, the sound vibrating through her. He pulled back just enough to bite at her bottom lip, his breath ragged. Say my name. Ayan. Again. Ayan. He kissed her harder, his tongue sweeping into her mouth with a filthy promise of what was to come. The console between them dug into her ribs, but she barely noticed. Not when his hand was sliding up her thigh, pushing her dress higher with every second. The rain outside fell harder, the windows fogging with their heated breaths. Somewhere in the back of her mind, Meher knew she should stop this. Knew it was reckless, dangerous, wrong. But when Ayan's fingers brushed against the lace of her underwear, all she could do was arch into his touch and pray this storm never ended. The morning after brought sunlight and shame. Meher woke alone, the sheets beside her cold. A single note lay on the pillow. "You'll beg for me by sunset." Her phone buzzed, a photo of Ayan shirtless, his smirk knowing. The caption? "Already do." Ayan's kiss wasn't just passionate, it was consuming. His lips moved against hers with the precision of a man who knew exactly how to unravel her. His tongue sweeping in to claim every whimper, every gasp. When his teeth caught her bottom lip, the sharp sting made her arch against him. Her nails digging into the hard muscles of his shoulders, through the damp fabric of his shirt. "Ayan." His name spilled from her lips like a prayer, her voice already wrecked. "Louder." His command vibrated against her mouth as his hands slid under her top, callous palms scorching a path up her ribs. "I want the whole city to know who you belong to." The first brush of his fingers against the lace of her bra stole her breath. He didn't tease, he took, thumbs circling her nipples with just enough pressure to make her cry out. The sound was swallowed by his kiss, deeper now, hungrier, his hips grinding against hers in a rhythm that promised what was coming. When his mouth left hers to trail fire down her neck, Meher's head fell back against the seat, her fingers tangled in his hair. "You taste like heaven," he growled against her pulse point before biting down. Not hard enough to hurt, but enough to make her moan. "But I'm about to make you scream like you're in hell." His hand slid between her thighs, pressing firmly against the damp silk of her panties. The contact was electric, her hips jerking involuntarily as his fingers began tracing slow, torturous circles. "So fucking wet for me already," he murmured, the words hot against her skin. "Tell me you want this. Tell me you want my fingers inside you." Meher could barely think, let alone speak, but when his teeth grazed her earlobe, the words tumbled out. "Yes, please. Good girl." The approval in his voice sent another wave of heat through her, as his fingers finally slipped beneath the silk, finding her slick and ready. "Fuck, you're perfect," he breathed before capturing her mouth again, swallowing her moans as his fingers began moving in earnest. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one building inside her, every stroke, every twist of his fingers bringing her closer to the edge. And when his thumb pressed against her clit at the same moment his teeth sank into her shoulder, she shattered with a cry, her body trembling as pleasure washed over her in relentless waves. Ayan held her through it, his lips gentle now against her temple as she came down. "That's just the beginning," he promised darkly, his erection pressing insistently against her thigh. "I'm not done with you yet." Golden sunlight spilled through the sheer curtains, painting lazy patterns across the rumpled sheets. Meher stirred, her body deliciously sore in places that made her face flush with the memory of why. Her fingers stretched out instinctively, searching for warm skin, only to find cold, empty space. Her eyes flew open. Ayan was gone. The other side of the bed bore the imprint of his body, the sheets still tangled from where he'd thrown them off. A faint scent of his cologne lingered on the pillowcase, dark, intoxicating, just like the man himself. Meher pressed her face into it, inhaling deeply, before she could stop herself. "What the hell am I doing?" She sat up abruptly, the sheet pooling around her waist. The movement sent a sharp reminder between her thighs. He'd been rough last night. The kind of rough that left bruises in the shape of fingerprints on her hips, and bite marks along her collarbone. The kind of rough that made her shiver just thinking about it. A flash of white caught her eye. A note, folded neatly on his pillow. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it. "You'll beg for me by sunset." The arrogant bastard. Meher's stomach flipped. Equal parts irritation, and something far more dangerous. She should be furious. Should delete his number. Should pretend last night never happened. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand before she could decide. Unknown number ***, miss me already? ***. Her breath hitched. She hadn't even given him her number. Of course he'd found it anyway. Attached was a photo. Ayan shirtless, leaning against what looked like a gym mirror. Water droplets glistened on his chest, trailing down the hard planes of his abdomen, before disappearing into the low-slung towel wrapped around his hips. His smirk was pure sin, those dark eyes staring straight through the camera like he could see her. See right through her. Meher's mouth went dry. Her fingers hovered over the screen. She should ignore him. Should block the number. Should. Meher never. His reply came instantly. Ayan liar. A pause. Then. Ayan I can hear your heartbeat from here. Meher's breath caught. Because somehow impossibly she knew he wasn't bluffing. He could hear it. Could feel it. Just like last night, when his palm had pressed against her chest as he moved inside her. His lips at her ear as he growled, faster. I want to feel it break. Her phone buzzed again. Ayan you're touching yourself right now, aren't you? Meher's hand stilled. When had it drifted between her thighs. Her face burning. Ayan don't stop. I want to hear you when you come. Then a call. Meher stared at the screen, her pulse roaring in her ears. She should decline. Should have some self-respect. Her thumb swiped accept before she could think better of it. Say my name. Ayan's voice was rough through the line, darker than she remembered. Or I hang up. Meher bit her lip. Ayan. His low laugh sent shivers down her spine. Good girl. Now beg. 1 week later, Meher's father called her downstairs. Beta, I want you to meet someone. Her blood turned to ice. Standing beside him, looking far too pleased, was Ayan. This is your new stepbrother. His smile was pure sin as his eyes locked onto hers. Long time no see, sister. The morning sunlight painted gold across the disheveled sheets as Meher stirred awake. Her body ached in the most delicious ways. A symphony of bruises and tender spots that sang of last night's passion. She reached out instinctively, her fingers brushing only cool cotton where Ayan's warm body should have been. A flutter of panic tightened her chest until she saw it. The crisp white note resting on his pillow, the bold handwriting unmistakably his. You'll beg for me by sunset. Meher's lips curved despite herself. Arrogant bastard. The memory of his hands pinning her wrists above her head, his teeth scraping along her collarbone as he whispered filthy promises, sent liquid heat pooling between her thighs. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. Miss me already? The attached photo stole her breath. Ayan shirtless, leaning against the sunlit window of what looked like a hotel room. Morning light gilded the sweat-slicked planes of his chest, his abs taut as if he'd just finished a workout. The towel slung low on his hips did nothing to hide the thick outline of his arousal. But it was his smirk that undid her. That knowing predatory gleam in his dark eyes, as if he could see the way her nipples pebbled beneath the thin sheet. Meher's fingers trembled as she typed. Never. His reply came before she could set the phone down. Liar. I can hear your heartbeat from here. A gasp escaped her as the bedroom door swung open. Ayan stood framed in the doorway, still gloriously shirtless, a tray balanced in his hands. The rich aroma of coffee and fresh croissants mingled with his signature sandalwood scent. But it was what he held between his teeth that made her pulse stutter. A single red rose. You. Meher sat up abruptly, the sheet slipping to her waist. You were just texting me. He set the tray down with a wicked grin, plucking the rose from his mouth to trail it down her bare shoulder. And yet you still said never. His free hand cupped her cheek, his thumb brushing her swollen bottom lip. Admit it, princess. You're addicted to me. Meher opened her mouth to protest, but the words died as he dropped to his knees beside the bed, his hands sliding up her thighs beneath the sheet. Let me remind you why, he murmured. pressing a hot, open-mouthed kiss to her inner thigh. The sunset painted the Mumbai skyline in hues of fire, as Meher stood on their penthouse balcony. Ayan's arms wrapped possessively around her waist. His lips traced the shell of her ear, his voice thick with promise. "Told you you'd beg by sunset." Meher turned in his arms, her fingers threading through his hair as she kissed him. Slow, deep, and thorough. "I did," she admitted against his mouth, smiling as she felt his instant hardness press against her. "Every damn day since." Ayan's growl sent shivers down her spine as he lifted her onto the balcony railing, his hands already pushing her dress up her thighs. "Then let's make sunset our time, princess." And as the city lights blinked to life below them, Meher decided some promises were meant to be kept, again and again and again.